Question 7. Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from it to the full product? In our prelim, I thought that the planning and the pre-production was quite useful because everything we planned, it helped us organize like everything we were going to do. Like we knew the location, the characters, the actors that we needed, the makeup, the costumes, everything that we needed. But like because we had such a low budget and because it was our first ever production, it was quite hard for us to produce something of a high standard. But we still produced a good enough piece to, you know, as a start. In comparison to this, when we in pre-production, when producing our title sequence, we organised everything a lot more to more in more depth. Like our storyboard was all posted on the blog. We researched other films which agreed with our genre and which could relate to like a hood story, like Another Hood and Kid Out Hood. They related to Brotherhood, our actual one, but we also researched Brotherhood, which related to our actual Brotherhood because of the genre and the way people are stereotyped and teenagers stereotypically dressed and everything. It was really well organised and really well researched and posted onto the blog to show pre-production and organisation in pre-production. When we were actually producing our prelim, we followed our organised plan, which helped because it helped us to know what we were doing at each second that we were filming, so it didn't cause any confusion. But because the prelim wasn't too important or too short and was quite short, like we didn't have too much to do, so it wasn't too hard to do. It was an easy task in the beginning of the year, and like you can see the progress that we've made because we didn't use a variety of shots in the prelim. We just like used what we knew how to do, and back then no one really knew how to film, how to edit, how to use shot reverse shot, how to use establishing shots, how to use the equipment in the right way, how to use the makeup and the mise-en-scène and the lighting and everything to benefit you like we do now. So overall I think the prelim like helped to see what we did wrong and all the things that we needed to improve on, because when we made our actual final piece we really and truly did learn quite a lot. We used the tripod, we used a professional camera, we used professional lighting in our title sequence, whereas in our prelim we used natural lighting. We didn't really have costumes, we just kind of made do with what we had, so we didn't really have much at the time. We just had like our clothes and we made badges and stuff to emphasize the Hotel Babylon genre, and yeah. Post-production. After our actual production of the prelim, we realised that a lot of things that we did, we could have done to a better extent. Like we could have used a wider variety of shots. Like we used the 180 degrees rule to like expand our like filming techniques and stuff. We also like used in the prelim, we didn't really use a variety of camera skills. We used the same old like still on the tripod shot, which didn't really help the final product to become good. It was just decent. It wasn't good enough. So from these mistakes, we learned to not do them in our final piece. Like in our title sequence, we decided to use a better. Let me do that. Stop. After our post-production with our prelim, we didn't really have an opportunity to refilm the scenes that weren't filmed too well. So we just kind of left it and cut and edited all the things that we thought weren't good enough and weren't gonna push our work to a higher grade, to a higher standard. So what we decided to do was, after post-production, after we had done all the filming, with all the equipment and in the settings and all the costumes and all the makeup, after all of that, in the title sequence, we decided that post-production, all the scenes that we thought weren't good enough, we refilmed and like edited and basically just tried to make better, because we thought like it needed improvement. So everything that we thought needed improvement, we would try to improve along the short period of time that we had. Planning and storyboard, in our prelim, we had to decide as a group to include everything that we wanted to include, and gradually our storyboard was created, like from Hotel Babylon. It was created to show our interpretation of it, and our interpretation of it in college, which wasn't too good, but we tried our best, I guess, and we got an alright mark for it. And for planning and storyboard in our title sequence, when we were planning the storyboard, we had to draw everything and make sure everything was designed to the last detail, to make sure everything was perfect and to make sure that nothing would mess up. Because if you have a mess up in the storyboard, you're going to mess up when filming, because you're not going to know, it's not going to be organised to the extent that it could be, and it's not going to help you and benefit you in ways it could. If your storyboard is well planned and well designed and has everything up to date and up to detail and in good detail, then there will be no reason for you to mess up when filming. Camera skills. In the prelim, we didn't really have many camera skills, so we each just tried to make the best out of using the tripod, and the scenes that were pretty shaky, we like cut out the shaky shots and tried to use the best shots that we had, because we didn't really have much experience in filming, none of us at the time, and therefore it didn't make such a beneficial product. But in the title sequence, we used a variety of camera skills, such as the 180 degrees rule, over the shoulder shots, reverse shot, establishing shots, panning shots, close-ups, over the shoulder, mid shots, long shots, close-ups, extreme close-ups, a wide variety of shots to show, like, to really emphasize the mise-en-scene and to really make you feel like you're not just watching a film or watching a title sequence, to make you feel engaged with what you're watching and to captivate the audience in a way that our prelim didn't. So that was that was my main focus, to captivate the audience in a way that the prelim didn't really captivate you, because the prelim wasn't too interesting, wasn't too captivating, wasn't too intriguing, but our actual title sequence is quite intriguing. Our feedback, people have said that it captivated them and wanted them to know what's going to happen next, and that's really what we were going for, because title sequence are supposed to captivate you and keep you intrigued. Mise-en-scène. We had to try to, when we were doing the prelim, we had to try to make do with the props that we had and the equipment that we had, because at this point in time we didn't really have much.
Hello?
As I was saying,
Blood's thicker than water, but you still need water to live. You kept my faith alive when nobody else did.
Very low
Rolled me from jail and said that we gon' make it big. And that's just what we did. Now you don't have to be a robber, and now I don't have to work in a place that I didn't wanna. We've gone from not even having money to buy a lobster, but we made it through, and now that money's got
The
to
next
come.
station is North Greenwich. Exit here
in
from
the
the
title
Emirates
sequence, we had to
Airline.
find locations,
And the pain together, made a change
set the
together,
scene
then got paid
to,
together. We got the name and the
show
fame, we run the game together.
his
And my
actual
brother from
name.
another man, it's more than rap. You know I got you if you falling back.
find
Man, you
locations
ease tight,
that would
do this
emphasize
music aside.
fit
You
with
my
our
brother,
genre and
be it.
emphasize spreading out and adding extra certain parts. We use the time lapse as well to time lapse to emphasize. We use the time lapse of the sky to emphasize time going past quickly, and then some reverse thing. We played our taxi in reverse to show what Salvatore, the main character, we get Sam, and both of them
gave me the heads up when that you got his dad for me. Reminiscing, looking back on all the moments. Can't forget Sugar Mouse, cause they was there when I was homeless. And shout my brother, she gave me hope when I was hopeless. And shout out all my closest, cause them times were the
lighting at the
coldest.
time.
Crap,
But in our title
you're my
sequence, we
family and
used
you know
professional
this.
lighting
Kept me on the
equipment,
music, yeah, you know
so
how
it
the
looked
road is.
as if it
Before
was
the
in a
lights
spotlight,
came,
as if it was an
stay
actual
focused.
light,
All
just
the times I felt
there,
like
like
the world was on my
naturally,
shoulders.
because it will give your piece of work a better outlook if the lighting has a natural effect instead of like a spotlight effect, because it blatantly looks like you're blatantly recording on purpose to, you know, yeah. So to make it look more natural, more realistic, we'll try to incorporate as much natural light and as much naturally living light as possible. When editing for the preview, we took out the shots we couldn't use because they weren't really good enough, and we didn't really edit much, but we edited quite a bit to get our piece to where it is now. To cut, we used a lot of cuts to cut the shots that weren't good enough, and a lot of jump cuts to like cut from one bit to another bit to another bit, because we didn't really have much footage. So yeah. And in our title sequence, we did a lot of editing after editing after editing to make it perfect. We used a lot of jump cuts. We used a lot of we used a lot of motion to like for the title sequence and stuff. And we used Final Cut Pro to do all the editing basically. And when we were making the soundtrack, we used GarageBand because we attempted to make a soundtrack, but then we found a sound that we could use, which is called Brotherhood by Captain Conan. So we decided, because it relates to our genre and because it relates to like Brotherhood, it's called Brotherhood and our piece is called Brotherhood, so they both relate. So we decided that why not combine them and make it one. So that's pretty much the sound. Sound. In the prelim, for sound, we didn't really use a sound. We used the script and we changed the volumes of our voices we used the script and changed the volumes in our voices as a soundtrack, because we didn't really need a soundtrack for the prelim. In our title sequence, we used GarageBand to try and make a soundtrack, but as it was too difficult for us, not too difficult, but quite a challenging task, we couldn't find a soundtrack that to all of us was good enough for the title sequence. We decided to pick Captain Conan Brotherhood because it relates to the genre as hood, because they are teenagers and hood, stereotypical hood boys, and they're brothers at heart, therefore it relates perfectly, so we decided to use it. Our titles, in the prelim we didn't have many titles. We had like just the prelim group 6 and maybe another one or two titles, but they weren't very significant to us back then. But then when we did our title sequence, we realised like how important titles actually are in a title sequence. They construct the whole of the title sequence. They tell you every piece of information you need to know about the film that you're about to watch is in the title sequence. It's so important. And the order that is very strict, like they have a very strict order. It's production ident, distribution ident, distribution in title sequence, production in the title sequence, actor 1, actor 2, film title, actor 3, actor 4, actor 5, etc. Casting, costume, music supervisor, music by, edited by, product designer, director of photography, executive producers, written by, and the director. That's the order that the title sequence go in. And so yeah, overall I think that in the prelim we made a lot of mistakes, but the prelim was beneficial to us to create because it helped us to know what not to do for the title sequence, and it showed us, it developed our skills, and it showed us how far we have come from the prelim in the beginning of the year, which to be honest is not that good, to our final title sequence, which was played in a theatre and we were all excited about, and it's just great compared to what we started off as. Our skills have come so far with Motion, Final Cut Pro, and GarageBand and everything really.